We are so excited to welcome Blanca. Her latest album is called The Heartbreak and the Healing. It's in stores now. She's inspiring fans by sharing her story and her vulnerability. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
So, first of all, I want to chat. We all go through things that are painful. We have painful things from our past, and oftentimes we let those things define us. Talk a little bit about changing the narrative for yourself and creating this album.
I think through my life journey, the biggest lesson that I've learned is that we should never feel ashamed of our story, and understanding that our stories don't define us, but there's so much power from your testimony and things that you walk through in this life. So over the last few years, it hasn't been the easiest journey for me. I lost my dad to cancer, and shortly after, my mom passed away from cancer as well. And then it just felt like my life was kind of in turmoil, and I ended up walking through a divorce after that. So it's just loss after loss. But through all of that, I've been able to discover my voice in a whole new way, my purpose in a whole new way. I've seen God's hand move in a beautiful way in my life. And so through this album, it's no different. I wanted to express very honestly about that process and hopefully help and encourage someone else that may be walking through something similar.
I mean, you just mentioned, several things that would be devastating for any one person, and you had those things kind of hit you back to back to back. And you're obviously, popular on Christian radio, but have you found fans who maybe, that's not maybe their top choice of genre of music, but because they hear your message are gravitating towards your songs?
Yes, I've experienced people from all different walks of life that connect with me, usually through social media, that somehow heard a song or got to see something about me speaking on my story. And I think that's just so beautiful to be able to reach someone through my lens of life, basically through the things that I've experienced that maybe someone else can't reach, but because they feel connected to the story, they give God a chance, or they're open to hearing kind of the hope within that's weaved throughout my story and my journey.
Let's talk a little bit about the album, The Heartbreak and the Healing. Did you create the title first, or did you create all the tracks and were like, this is the best way to kind of bundle all these this experience together?
It was kind of like a middle ground. I started the process back in 2020. I started writing for the album for the first time, and I got a handful of songs. And I remember listening back to the first few demos, and I was like, how am I going to do this? Like, I'm talking about heartbreak, but then I'm also talking about like the redemption, the restoring part of it all. Like, how do these two go together? I've never done anything like this before. But as I started developing it, I'm like, I think this is all part of the story. Like, I'm going to tell the full story as if this was a journal entry in my journal. And that's when the title came to me, The Heartbreak and the Healing. And I ran it through some of my close circle, and they were like, we love it. We think this is great.
For you growing up, because obviously, I know when I've experienced difficult times or sad times in my life or a period of change, there's been those albums that I'm like, I'm going to listen to this from beginning track to end track and put them on my radio. Growing up, who was that? Because this is going to be that album for so many people, but who was that artist for you, or that album for you?
That artist for me, oh man, that's such a good story. See, I grew up on like the divas of the 90s. So I didn't grow up like in a Christian home. So I would listen to like Lauryn Hill, and she, her Miseducation of Lauryn Hill album completely blew me away as a young girl. I was like, there's so much soul. I feel like I hear her heart in these songs. So it really was an album that I would listen to start to finish and really felt impacted by. And then of course, Mariah Carey, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, all these like big, huge voices as a young girl that wanted to sing. I would connect to, their songs and their voice. But I would say Lauryn Hill kind of encompassed something that changed in me through her vulnerability, I would say, through her music.
I mean, that's one of those things, you just see the album cover and like, this is the time that I need Lauryn Hill in my life, because I'm the exact same way. I love that album, and it's like, what you're getting yourself into, and how you're going to come out after you're done listening to that album.
Exactly.
Everyone has, things from their past, either that they ignore, or it's not until, later on in life that those things come out. And, but you've shared your message as far as going to counseling and creating this album, but, maybe a message for some of those fans who might pick up this album, might listen to the songs, but may not be ready to take that next step. Maybe a message to them of what you hope this album does.
My hope through this album is that you could feel through my honesty, I guess, or vulnerability, that it can open the door to maybe take you one step closer to finding if that is therapy, if that is counseling, if that is on your journey of healing, wherever you find yourself at this time, that my album can play just a small role in helping you get one step closer to your wholeness and your healing. I don't judge anyone. I'm super open, just because I realized in my own life kind of these guarded places that I had, and I didn't even realize it. Even from things I dealt with abuse at a very young age. And it's not till being a grown adult woman that I'm like, oh man, I think I really need to confront some of these places that I've hid for so long. And so, believe it or not, these songs have been healing for me. My own album, I feel like I'm honest when I say I write it in a way that's almost like a journal entry for myself. And I'm able to listen back, look back, and be like, man, there's been progress. I've grown from that person that wrote that song at that time. So my encouragement is, for sure, if you hear it, just to allow it to keep you open, and that it can just be a part of your story, a part of your journey, getting you closer to where you need to be.
And just like Lauryn Hill, for you, a safe space that you can always go to when you might need to, connect with your emotions.
Yes. Let me provide a safe space for you.
a safe space, as far as making that leap, because now we get to see the end process of creating the album and talking about it, and seeing the songs come out. But what was that first song that you wrote for the album? Because obviously it was like, I'm going into this process, this is the first thing I'm going to write, I'm ready or not, here we go.
One of the first songs I wrote for the album is Even at My Worst. There was another song that I wrote at the same time that didn't make the album, because I listened back and I was like, whoa, she needed a little more time. She was still kind of angry. But Even at My Worst was the first song that I wrote, and it's one of the songs that I listen to now, and it brings me back. I don't know, sometimes it makes me want to cry, just because I can hear kind of my brokenness through some of the lyrics and what I was feeling at that time, feeling like I had hit rock bottom. And I'm like, how can God love me through this? Like, I've probably been so disappointing in how my life has panned out, but he showed up and reminded me of the truth of who I am in him. And so that song has a lot of meaning for me.
That is amazing. Blanca, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for just your love and support with my new music.
The Heartbreak and the Healing in stores now. Thank you so much.
Take care.
Bye.